Okay, so as the only trace connected to anything now is pin 3, I have now lifted pin 3 of that chip up, which probably won't show up on camera, but pin 2 and pin 3 are lifted up off the inverter now. So there should be theoretically nothing connected to that track at all, except maybe the reset switch, which we'll come back to that in a second. And still exactly the same problem. Now originally the reset switch wasn't working, so I actually changed it for a brand new one. I have actually wiggled it around a lot and tried pushing it in gently and doing various other things, and it just doesn't make any odds. So if I hold the reset button in, that seems to work, because that'll be connecting pin 2 and pin 3. That point which is pulled up with a resistor gets grounded, so that seems to be working. Pin 1 and 2 wouldn't matter because it's isolated totally the inverter anyway, but even just slightly pressing the reset switch, it doesn't really solve anything. I've tried pressing it multiple times in case there's something bad in the switch or something, but that doesn't seem to make any difference either. But by all accounts there is nothing on that trace at all other than the scope and that 1K and 10K pull-up resistor. So why is that going mental? Because there should be absolutely nothing connected on that track whatsoever. And it's definitely not the scope probe either, because I know that's 5 volts. Totally stable. So that's not the problem. The capacitor's still lifted, and it's just nuts. Right, I've got my new fancy magnifier so I can actually see what I'm actually doing now. So this resistor there, that's the 1K where the scope probe's attached. This is the track in question. Pin 2 is lifted there, not connected. These 2 pins are also lifted, so nothing connected on that track, nothing connected on that track except that pull-up resistor. The that capacitor C7 is still lifted. The track snakes under here and goes to the reset switch here. And that's basically it. There is nothing on that track whatsoever now, well, at least in theory. So we'll switch on and see what happens now. So yep, still going completely nuts. I'll press the reset switch in, so that works fine. The Falcon is booting because I've actually disconnected a lot of the reset parts anyway. If I actually touch pin 2 on the 555, it does reset the machine, so the 555 seems to be working fine with the pin 2 trigger input. So why is this track got a signal on it that's going nuts when there's in theory nothing connected to it? I did try lifting these chips off earlier, but I think they're actually glued down on the PCB, so that's why I just lifted the pins at the moment, because I didn't want to risk damaging anything trying to break the glue under the chip. I'm not so sure it really is the chip's at fault. I mean, possibly There's a wire which is shorting underneath, or maybe somewhere underneath that one, but without actually removing the chip it's difficult to tell. So I am still puzzled why I'm getting this crazy signal on this track, because like I said before, let's lift that up a bit, that's 5 volts there on the top end of the diode. The diode's disconnected, so just literally gone from 5 volts via the resistor, I'll show you on this one, to the scope probe, and that's what's happening. So that makes no sense at all. And another quick reconfirmation test is testing that resistor point, which should be not measuring the resistance to ground, but it actually does. 151 ohms. That should be open circuit really, because it's only got that 1k pull up to 5 volts. To try the probes the other way around, it has varied ever so slightly, but not as much as it was doing previously. It was about 10 ohms difference before. Swapped them around again, 150, so yeah, there's 1 ohm difference there, but it's practically nothing really. But that point should have nothing connected on it at all. Another very small observation of this crazy signal is it does seem to have about a 2 volt DC offset on where it thinks ground is. So if I press the reset switch down, the line is in the centre of the screen, which is truly 0 volts. Lift it up, it jumps up to maybe 1 volt there, and let's see, and then it sort of drifts up maybe around the 2 volt line. But also interestingly, there was like a little bit of a delay when it started going nuts. So press the reset in, didn't do it that time. Just go straight to craziness. Yeah, but even so, why is that got a 2 volt offset? I mean, it could be down to the pull-up resistors pulling up the offset a little bit, but something extremely weak would have to be driving it if a 1k resistor can offset the low voltage on whatever's causing that pulse. I mean, it does sort of look like switching noise, but come on. I mean, that should not be switching at all. That's just totally crazy. I mean, it sort of looks like a solid switch as well, like it's actually being driven by another chip. So we get there. Crazy noise. That's just insane. Now it's, oh, sorry, I was going to say it stopped then, and now it's just doing it again. Now I've pressed around the board all over the place as well, and I can't seem to get it to make it worse or better by putting pressure on the board. At least not what I've found so far. It doesn't seem to be anything on that track at all, which shouldn't be. Just goes literally straight to the switch under a couple of components, which they don't look like they're shorting out. And where the scope probe is on that point. So back to the drawing board, I suppose. I just plastered everywhere with IPA just for the hell of it. I mean, that's the reset switch there. I plastered the bottom there with IPA and retested the resistance, and it was still exactly the same. I also did the same on the top. I'm not sure what's the better angle here for this. So what I did is I just sprayed it all around the area, then just gave it a wipe over with this soft brush, and as I tested it a minute ago, that resistance had gone. So I'll put that probe back there and measure that. Oh sorry, that one. 900 ohms, which is 10k and 1k in parallel. That is basically what it should be. And that's a zoomed in version. That's where I'm measuring there. So all I did was just spray this whole area with IPA. Now the only thing I resoldered, well sorry, not resoldered, replaced, was the reset switch, and there was definitely nothing on the bottom of the board shorting out. It seemed to go away when I actually sprayed the top of the board. So I don't know where that short has just suddenly vanished from. It's very peculiar. So it's definitely, these 3 pins on the chips are still disconnected. I'll show you there. And I've just wiped over there, and that's literally all I did. So where has that short circuit gone? .900 ohms. So I'll connect this Falcon back up again and see if that signal's behaving now. Right, so the Falcon's reconnected back up again. Scope probe back where it was on the 1k resistor. That's still attached as before, and it looks like the IPA is dried out. So let's switch on now and see what we get. It's gone straight high, which it's supposed to do. The Falcon has actually reset as well, even though the reset circuit is not really connected properly. So what the heck? Let's press the reset button in. Not working. Down again. So what have I just done? That makes no sense at all. So I haven't done anything except clean that reset area with IPA, but it didn't look like there was any shorts on that track anywhere anyway, but there must have been. But say I haven't touched, other than lifting the pins up on those chips and changing the reset switch. I've lifted that diode out, but I haven't resoldered anything except the reset switch, and that was fine. So I don't know. It's one of those things where it seems to be solved and yet not solved. And we're on desktop and that's still perfectly stable. So maybe I'll have to look back through some previous footage and see if I can see anything on top which is shorting out somewhere. That makes no sense at all, but I suppose I'll take that as a win, as it's now stable anyway. Unless anyone spots anything, let me know in the comments. But I don't know, there must have been some blob of flux or something shorting out something somewhere related to that track, but the only possible thing was there was a bit of crud around there originally, but that was me lifting the pins up because of the original fault. So these points would have flux around, and obviously that as well, so I've lifted that out, and the capacitor had a bit of gunge around it, but that was again me lifting that out, and there didn't seem anything visible with that originally. So yeah, fixed and not fixed, I don't know. We'll start soldering things back in, and we'll call that a win. Until next time, bye now.